Dear viewers, I'm Norbert Moa, commonly known as Chairman Mao, the Oracle of Gulu. I'm the President General of the Democratic Party and Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. We are here at Tegot Farmstead and we welcome the team from the national broadcaster, UBC. We hope our story will also contribute to the UBC mission of inspiring Uganda. This place is near a place called Got Atoll, which is Atoll Hills. So Tegot means mountainside. You can even call it hillside because we don't have really big mountains here. We are not exactly on the foothills of Atoll Hills, but we are very near and we are on the road. So we got the name and gave our farm Tegot Farmstead. We call it a farmstead because it's not as big as many of the farms are. It's a farmstead because it is the biggest small farm in this area. Actually, the biggest asset in here are the shea butter. Oh. The shea butter trees have been preserved there. We harvested a lot of bananas, but there are many that are coming up again. In 2008, my driver came and told me that a friend of his had told him that there was a piece of land available for sale in this area, which is now in Unyama sub-county, about 12 kilometers east of Gulu City. So I came and had a look. I learned about the ownership of the land because this is not where my family comes from. My family comes from Lacho, which is within the city, and then our rural home is in Powell in Bana, almost 100 kilometers in Amuro district. I liked the land. It appeared far, and the war had not yet really ended. There were still unsafe areas. So I met the family and we agreed. They were selling this land in order to pay what is called blood compensation, Cholukuo, or among the Banyankole, I think it is called Okukaraba. The family had resolved that they needed to sell 40 acres. And that in our culture is a genuine reason for selling land. So we negotiated and they gave me an offer which I accepted. The whole 40 acres was sold in 2008 at 12 million shillings. I had 3 million shillings on my account, and then I went to Centenary Bank and spoke to the manager called Baden Powell Obote. And I told him I needed 9 million shillings and I would pay back from my salary as LC5 chairman, which position I held at that time. So I paid for this land in full, and the agreement was signed along the road. And my plan was that I would build a country home here and have a small farm here. I then went to the leaders of the Ministry of Works to request for heavy machines. I told them I needed to build a road around the farm and that I needed to clear about 15 acres so that I could then bring a tractor and grow some crops. Engineer Karani, the head of the Ministry of Works regional office in Gulu, told me he could give me a couple of days, but I would have to buy fuel and that I would also have to pay the operators. I requested for a wheel loader to get maram, which would be used to make sure the road around the farm is compacted with maram. I requested for a tipper lorry to carry the maram. I requested for a compactor to compact the maram. I requested for a grader to grade the maram and the road. I requested for a bulldozer to clear the bush and uproot the trees. And the machines were delivered. I had to pay for a low loader to bring the bulldozer and the compactor. So we opened 15 acres. We bush cleared it, as they say. And then we built the road around the farm, 1.2 kilometer road. And then we built another road of 270 meters from the main road to the spot that I had identified as the compound. And then when all that was done, we came and brought a tractor and plowed 15 acres, then did the second plowing after some weeks, brought a disc harrower, and then we planted maize, 15 acres of maize, and the yield was so good, we made 24 million shillings out of that maize, and we sold it very cheaply, but we got a lot of money. The yield was simply so high because this land had been lying fallow and unused for decades. Remember, this was part of Joseph Koi's operational area. So there was no life here before that time. So that is the beginning of Tegot Farmstead. After some time, Watoto Church came to Gulu and we welcomed them. They needed a place to train some women about farming. At that time, I was too busy with politics. So I told them, you are welcome to use my land. After all, I had a grass-thatched hut here. I had a pit latrine. So I told them, you are welcome to use the land. You don't need to rent it. But I hope you'll be kind enough to help me uproot the remaining trees. So for more than 3 years, close to 4 years, they were here. They used the land for training women on farming. I think they were growing some crops here like soya beans, and they uprooted. They actually cleared the land. When they handed the land back to me, I then went back into growing soya. I invited a good comrade with whom we had been in our politics, a businessman from Gulu called Ojok, and requested him to come and live here. And I told him, please, you are not my employee because I can't afford to pay you, but you will have the responsibility to keep this land, and you also can grow whatever crops you want. And it was disorganized. We would grow soya on one part, we grow maize on one part, we grow the peas, what we call la pena, on one side. Sometimes we would try rice, sometimes we would grow cassava in a kind of chaotic fashion. Sometimes we would make money by growing soya. Sometimes we would make big losses. One time, because of poor post-harvest handling, we lost a whole container of soya beans, which would have given us more than 40 million if we had handled it well. When B, my wife, came here, and when I proposed to her and we agreed to become husband and wife, she totally changed the ideas that I had. First, she asked me, "Do you know what a farm is?" I told her, "Yes, of course I know what a farm is." She said, "What is a farm?" I must have mumbled something about crops and animals and so on. But then she told me a farm is a collection of gardens. Right now, is there really any organized garden that you see, whose acreage you know? And indeed, there was none. So she said, now I want to devote myself to developing a farm with you. And she started by growing 1 acre of passion fruit. And she made so much money, she would even send me money on my phone, 2 million shillings all of a sudden. She was selling so much passion fruit. The next thing, she went to her dad and picked banana suckers. The dad has a farm in Wakiso. So she brought some few suckers and started planting them here. Next, she started doing research on coffee. When she told me she could grow coffee, I laughed because we had never been told that coffee can grow here. Even the British were sure that coffee does not grow here. But she believes in knowledge. After all, she had lived in Britain for about 30 years. She had never done any real farming. So she was learning while teaching me and also practicing farming. She took me to someone in Masaka, a coffee farmer, and we got a lecture on how to get a coffee farm going. So she identified about 4 to 5 acres. There's a narrow strip of land next to the main block that we had been using. And she decided to grow coffee and bananas. It did so well. Of course, the dry season came and she had challenges, no rain, the crops are miserable. But for the first time, we started seeing huge bunches of matoke. And she was able to sell some. In Gulu, some of the bunches would go for as high as 50,000, others 30,000. The very small ones, at least 20,000. She would even take some to our neighbors in Lubowa, and our neighbors would want to buy the matoke. Next, she did a garden of sweet potatoes. And she brought lorries here and took the sweet potatoes herself to the market. And she was getting money, and she would tell me, this is what I'm able to get out of this. And then the Chief Justice told us about macadamia. So we jumped into macadamia. And the bee planted 25 acres of macadamia. Then we had about hash avocado. Bee planted 6 acres of hash avocado. We lost all the hash avocados. We lost most of the macadamia. We only have a few trees surviving. But we added another 5 acres of macadamia in another smaller farm we have in a place called Labora, about maybe 5 kilometers from the main road, the main Moroto road, which turns here. And eventually, we thought telephone farming is really, really a challenge. Some of the farm workers tell you lies. You never know what's happening. So we thought we needed to make this a home. As usual, me, I'm a big thinker. So I decided that, let us plant a garden. Let us have grass, paspalam. So I started with 2.5 acres of paspalam. Everybody thought I was just running mad. As if that was not enough, I added 2 more acres. So we planted a total of 4.5 acres of paspalam. And then the kids in the neighborhood would come here. We bought some footballs. They would come and play. In order to support them, you just roast some groundnuts. Then you give them boiled water. When they have played and they are tired, they eat the groundnuts, they drink water and go home. So the place became an open space, this open space you see around us here. Next, we put something for basketball, and those who could manage would come. We had a ball here, and they would play. But then we realized that the neighbors' cows intrude here, so we needed to fence. So we went and spoke to a company called Busoga Forest Company in Namamve, Jinja Road. We got treated poles. We contracted somebody to come and put barbed wire around the farm. And that's how we protected the crops from the marauding animals. We have a number of people who don't take good care of their cows, and the cows can really be a nuisance. Even with the fencing, sometimes they still intrude, but it is now limited. A small patch of only 1.2 acres, it's possible to irrigate it using this kind of sprinkler. But the ideal would have been the drip irrigation. This one wastes a lot of water, but fortunately we have a big underground water source. So twice a day, the pawpaws, we have got lime, we have got lemon, we have got tamarind, we have got sour sop. Others I don't even know them. There's one they call dragon. We are still doing an experiment. But the key is to have good management. This is where the passion fruit was first. Now, in order to irrigate the rest of the land, we have got to raise 40,000 liters more. So we hope the contractor will come at the end of this week and raise these tanks. Then we can irrigate more than 25 acres using drip irrigation. So we have done some experiments. One day, B wrote some ideas and she called it Coffee Plus. She decided that this is a point of light. And as the Bible says, let your light shine. That let this light of Tegot Farmstead shine in the whole of Unyama sub-county. And she told me, I cannot work in the whole of Acholi, but at least I'll make a difference in Unyama sub-county. And I hope people will understand that I want to make a difference in Unyama sub-county. So she approached 15 neighbors and told them, please have at least 1 acre of coffee. And I think at least maybe 7 families have so far started small coffee farms. They get even banana suckers from her garden. Then she decided that she should invite some people to come, starting with the neighbors. So the neighbors came here. There were over 200. And they sat under the trees here. We have some shades. So she talked to them. I went and bought a flip chart from Kampala. I brought it. And I told her, now you are the teacher. What makes you a teacher? Your knowledge and experience. You have made mistakes. You have been learning. Now you are in a position to teach. You may have a professor in a university teaching people about coffee, and he doesn't even have 1 plant of coffee. You have an opportunity to teach people to learn by doing. When you are talking about the measurements of coffee, the size of the pits, how long cow dung should take in the pits, you are talking from experience. Because you have done it and you know it. The aim is not to give these people certificates to hang on their walls. Your certificate should be your garden. So when we are appreciating people, we do not appreciate you with a piece of paper that you have now attended. We believe in applied knowledge, and that is B's hands-on approach. Because B worked for many years in Microsoft at a time when computer technology was just being popularized around the world, and should drive all over England trying to promote the new technologies of Microsoft. So she learned what you would call field operations, because you must go where life is happening. So B would invite them and walk around her gardens with them. Sometimes, of course, she brings people from far. One time she brought people from Pachilo. Pachilo is in Atiak on the way to the Sudan border. She needed to bring about 70 people, and she needed transport. So I told her, all these schools and even Gulu University, they have buses that are always packed. Why don't we use these resources and share them? So I called the university administration and I asked them to lend her the bus for a day. And they did. She put fuel, paid the driver, and the bus went and brought the community leaders here. She put up a small tent and she cooked the food herself, and everybody ate. She facilitated the meeting. They visited the farms, and people went back convinced that it is possible to grow coffee in Acholi, and that it is possible to have bananas in Acholi. You just have to make it a habit and create a routine for taking care of your farm. There is a hazard promoted by government. Whenever people hear about a seminar or a conference or a workshop, then people are thinking about getting a catering company that charges you 30,000 per plate of food, when it is a posho, maybe some rice and meat and beans. Surely that does not cost 30,000 shillings. We are deceiving ourselves. A bottle of mineral water, they will tell you 3,000 shillings, at least 2,000 shillings. And then they will go into hiring tents, hiring chairs. Then you hear about transport refund. Then you hear about paying facilitators a lot of money. Even an MC, somebody to chair the meeting, they bring somebody. So that is why the trainings are not effective. I'm speaking from experience. I opened up the Gulu Legal Aid Office for Uganda Law Society. It is the first ever legal aid project office in northern Uganda. When I used to hold conferences, I would go and hold it in a school during a time when the school is on holiday. We use the classrooms, we use the school desks, and the food is cooked in the compound. We can hire big saucepans, and then I would be the facilitator because I have the knowledge. And there would be nothing like a transport refund and honorarium and so on, because the people are from the neighborhood. Those who go to school pay fees. So how come that when the government is passing on knowledge, unless maybe there is some big budget, but in a situation where I know that the budget is limited, why can't this be a kind of adult education? Actually, farmers need to learn from one another.
Exactly.
I think OWC should have a kind of farmer-to-farmer initiative.
Yes, yes.
So that farmers can visit each other.
Exactly.
On various farms.
On various.
For instance,
we call them enterprises.
Yes. So, like today, we could have maybe 20 farmers gathered here.
Yes.
We share our frustration,
we learn
our stories,
yes,
whether complaints.
Correct.
We make sure that we are together.
Exactly.
Operation Wealth Creation is a good program. It has turned upside down the World Bank's obsession with poverty alleviation. And OWC comes and says, we want wealth creation. And wealth creation means, how do you get a bucket of groundnuts out of a handful of groundnut seeds? It's about multiplication, multiplying wealth. And multiplying wealth also by turning the groundnuts into paste, by packing it and taking it to the supermarket. It doesn't need a PhD to understand it. And these are the things that General Saleh is always articulating, because it resonates with the villagers. And OWC has succeeded primarily through distribution of quality seeds. It has reached out to many people. Secondly, I wish OWC would now close the technology gap between the haves and the have-nots. 20 years of war can cause trauma, and 20 years of war can change people's outlook. It disempowers. The answer to that is not to lecture people that they are lazy and so on. The people who come here and say, there's a lot of empty land, why are you people poor? I think they need to go through the same experience first. For those from other parts of Uganda, the wiseacres who are lecturing us about how we leave land idle and so on, I wish they could experience 20 years of war. If Luwero, which had only 5 years of war, is still so backward, then what about this area here? At least we should celebrate the efforts people are making. And that's why I'm very pleased that UBC has come here to tell these stories. They may not be the greatest stories, but when people are told that, you know, through small steps lasting 16 years, there is a farm that is a walking distance from the center of Gulu City. It is still work in progress. We hope that eventually the communities will create cooperatives. Like there's one we are building. One day we will take you to a place we hope will impress you as an agriculture park, where you'll now see thousands of acres that are being cultivated by a cooperative society. So you must give people hope that you can actually make a 1-acre farm that looks nice and is pleasing to you. That coffee farm that Bee started with is only about 4 to 5 acres. But that inspired her now to head to almost 25 acres in another place. Now, the question is Northern Uganda moving forward or is Northern Uganda moving backward?